This time, the revolution is spiritual, which is a new book created, authored by Winsome Alexander, who is my guest tonight. But yes, this is about awakening and liberation for Black women, right? A lot of us have been taught to fear ancestral spiritual practices. And so that is the focus of Winsome's book, right? Really tapping into the power of these things that we have been taught to fear. And so if you are here live, please let us know in the chat. Please subscribe to this channel if you're interested in content like this in the future, and subscribe to Winsome's channel as well. Big Up Yourself, which I will link in the chat. But I do want to pass it over to Winsome to introduce herself, tell us about her channel, and then anything else that you would like to share, Winsome, please feel free.
Oh my goodness. I am so happy to be back here again. Oh, wow. This feels like coming home, being with my people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was really important for me, Marissa, that this would be the first platform that I visit to talk about topics related to the book. And the reason for that is when I first announced that I was writing the book, you were the first person um, say, to recognize that it's something that our community could use. And this was timely. And for me, that was encouraging. And I feel like you could be um, a visionary,
Oh,
one
thank
of those
you.
mystics that I write about in the book. I feel
Yeah,
like you would be one of those. Yeah. So thank you for that. I honor you for that.
absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. So I'm supposed to introduce myself and tell you about my channel. Okay. So my
Mhm.
name is Winsome, which you said already. I am an ordained spiritual healer, nurturer,
Mhm.
specializing in spiritual midwifery.
Mhm.
And with that, I provide urgent care for stalled dreams and disconnected souls. And I mostly use the ancient practice of visualization to help heal and help draw out or birth what's dormant inside my clients. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's
Mhm.
what I do. And I do have the channel, which is Big Up Yourself. And I know people often want to know what that means. And the thing is, I come from Big Up Yourself culture, right? And that means Big Up Yourself is a Jamaican greeting or expression. And it simply
Mhm.
means to celebrate yourself, right? Or I see you. And we say that all the time, right? And people tend to think that Jamaicans, we kind of brag on ourselves and our culture, but it's really not a performance, it is defiance, right?
Ooh.
We are born in a culture that teaches us that we're already a big deal. So it's the mindset and it's a cultural survival tool, right? Rooted in the unshakable belief that every Jamaican is a star. So you're born worthy and you need no external validation. And this is the energy of a free people, well
Mm.
aware of what we've fought for, what we've overcome, and what we're still fighting for. So when I use it for my show, I use it because I want to inspire survivors of trauma to reclaim their sacred original selves that existed before trauma, before the world told them who to be. Because
Mhm.
despite trauma, we are still a big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And please subscribe, y'all, to Winsome's channel. Big Up
Thank
Yourself. And here's a link. Absolutely. Yes.
you.
And so you have a new book that is available for pre order.
I
This
have a
time, The
new.
Revolution is spiritual. And I had a chance to read the excerpts, y'all. It's powerful. I just ordered
Mm.
my copy. Like, I'm serious. Like, it's that powerful. So
Wow.
I wanted to ask you what inspired you to write this book that's so powerful.
What inspired me to write this book? It started with a question. Coming from Jamaica, right? Racism was never in my face the way it is in the US. I didn't quite see myself as a Black person until I came to America. Because back home, I'm just simply a person, a citizen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the reason why the word Black to describe us just never sat well with me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd ask, where did that term come from? And who told us that we were Black?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, Black doesn't seem to cover all of who and what I am. So I started researching, where does the term Black come from? And it led me to our ancestral history. And I found out that we were not originally known as Black, that was a colonial label, but it actually started with Negro. Now, the interesting thing is, I prefer Negro to Black. I feel a vibrational resonance with Negro that I don't feel with Black, right? Okay. So anyway, so I found out that we didn't see ourselves as skin color. We were identified as by our tribes, by our geographic regions, by our innovations and our spiritual connections. And so I was inspired to do a video titled Before We Were Black. What were we before they told us we were Black? And y'all should watch that video. So while I was learning about our history and spirituality, I've sensed that this was a way that we could win this battle for our ultimate liberation, right? Mm-hmm. Because those powers that be that seek to oppress us, they know that our spiritual power is great, but they don't quite understand how it works, and they're actually afraid of it, right? Mm-hmm. So ancestors spoke to me that this time the revolution is spiritual. And I happen to see more and more of us gravitating to and reclaiming our spiritual technologies. And that's how this book was born.
That is so powerful. And you mentioned like the ancestors, right? The ancestors like speaking to you to create this book. Can you just, I guess for those who may have a similar gift, because I know this was the case for me, right. But I've always either been afraid of the messages that I hear, and so like ignore them. Or been taught like they're not real, and so just kind of like brush them off. And then it's only now at this point in my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, all this time, my entire life, I've been being guided with these messages.
Exactly. Took us so long to come home. Because that's what I feel like. Oh my gosh, it's the dots are finally connecting. I had not been paying attention, but all along, they've been speaking. I've been hearing things, knowing things. Yes. You know, just ignoring all the signs and stuff. But now it's all coming together. My goodness. Yeah. So So, people ask, how do you hear the ancestors and stuff? You hear it. You know, it may come as a feeling, like a sensation, or it may, like you sense a presence, or it may come as just, you may perceive it as hearing something. I am clairaudient, so I tend to hear. I'm also claircognizant, so I'll know things. And I used to say I don't know how I know them, but now I know how I know them. Ancestors are speaking, right? So so it comes in different ways, and sometimes it could be you're reading something and it's like, oh, okay,
That's so true. Yeah. And I'm the same way. Like messages will come to me in different forms. As you said, like sometimes it'll be a sensation. I'll feel something. I'll know something, but like my human self hasn't even experienced what I know to be true. And so I'm like, where is this information coming from? And now at this point, I'm like, oh, okay, this is being downloaded to me. from my
Exactly.
ancestors. What a gift.
What a gift, right?
Yes.
And so many more of us have it than we recognize or will admit. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, when you speak about ultimate liberation, what that may look like in our everyday lives, specifically as Black women, with that term.
Yeah. So, ultimate liberation. I can see this being a tough concept for many people to wrap their heads around, right? So, but first, let me say what I think freedom is. Look at Mara. What freedom is as opposed to liberation, right? So, freedom is the absence of physical constraints. All
Mm.
right. It's external, it's the ability to walk around physically unchained. That's freedom. Liberation says, though, that I can never be chained again. So freedom can be given, but liberation must be claimed. And it lives in spirit, right? Liberation is the inner state of being unchained. And it's an active, ongoing process of breaking free from psychological, emotional, and spiritual chains. And so in our daily lives, it could look like this: freedom from fear and anxiety, waking up without being ruled by worry or doubt because you trust your inner power and your divine connection. Okay. Then there's freedom from external validation, needing that, making
Mhm.
choices guided by spirit, not by the need to please people or society or systems that don't honor us.
Right.
And the freedom to think for ourselves, right? There's emotional liberation where you're no longer carrying shame and guilt and unhealed pain, and that once dictated your reactions and your relationships. And
Mhm.
then there's liberation in relationships and really loving, like learning to really love. Like while I was writing this book, I fell in love with us. I fell in love with us. I was overcome by such deep compassion for us, and like, oh my goodness. I
Mhm.
just want to forgive all of us for all our foolishness. So, learning to love and really loving without bondage or manipulation, and setting boundaries with peace, and honoring your sacred self while honoring others.
Mhm.
And then the liberation in terms of work and purpose, engaging in work that aligns with your calling and not just survival. So, work and joy. Work
Yeah.
becomes more joy and less drudgery.
Yeah.
Liberation in your voice, speaking your truth without shrinking, silencing, or apologizing for existing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, liberation of time and presence, like living with mindfulness and presence and not chained to hustle or what I call struggle culture or busyness to prove your worth, right? There's liberation as daily joy, choosing beauty and joy and laughter, even a world in this world that tries to sell struggle as normal. Liberation from consumerism and excess,
Mm. Yeah.
and unhelpful habits. And this one's one of my favorites: community consciousness,
Mhm.
because we're all part of each other. We are all interconnected. And what you do is going to some way affect me. And then that's going to affect what I do. That's going to affect somebody else, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So it's important that we begin to think about not what our behaviors or thoughts or actions do to us or for us, but it also affects the whole. So we're not
Mhm.
living just for ourselves, but we become community conscious. Okay.
I love that. Hmm. Hmm. Community consciousness. I think that's so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And something that was downloaded to me recently is like nothing is disconnected. We're
Yes.
taught we're taught very much like things are in silos. It's this part, right? This is not connected to this. It's like no, everything is connected. That's how the
Everything.
planet works. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Every single
Mm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is
Mm-hmm.
interconnected. Yeah.
I love that. And you mentioned struggle culture. If
Hmm.
I could just ask you, because that resonated,
Yeah.
just that term and what that means to you, I guess.
Struggle culture. So we live in a society that rewards the hustle, the striving, the rat race, and it's set up for our burnout,
Yes.
right? So we've come to believe that everything we receive or need, or yeah, we have to struggle hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
Struggle is not real. I actually did a video titled "The Struggle is Not Real." The struggle is a mentality that we've inherited, right? And we can choose to not struggle in our minds. We bought into the struggle gospel, right? And that's been handed down to us. Everything is hard. We have to strive for everything. But when we decide that we no longer want to struggle, we invite peace, you know? We invite peace. So the way I live right now is every time I feel like something might be difficult or something might be challenges, I catch myself and I say, you're not going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
You are not going to struggle with this. We're not going
Wow.
to we're not going to accept hard things. We're going to find a way to make it simpler, or we're just going to change our mindset about it.
Mm. That's very powerful. Yeah. And like having the awareness of that is so important, as you mentioned, like kind of even like seeing your thoughts as they come in, right? This has to be hard. I have to seek out the most difficult, complicated way to do this in order for it to count, right?
Hmm.
Which is how we're conditioned and socialized
Hmm.
so often. But to know there's a different way,
Yeah,
right? You can actually like lean into like, does this bring me joy? And that could be your guide
exactly.
in life. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
real quick too, I might have mentioned that, I did another video titled "I Reinvented Smiling." I woke up one morning and I was immediately feeling anxiety. I'm like, what the heck is this? You've been sleeping all night, you're gonna wake up anxious? This don't make no sense. So I started smiling. I started smiling and immediately I started feeling better. So I was like, what is it about smiling that makes the body feel so good? So I went and researched that and then did a
Mm-hmm.
video on it. So many chemicals and hormones are released when you smile that makes everything better. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another way that you can combat the struggle mentality.
Yeah, that's a really good point. In like having different movements in our body, like as you mentioned, like smiling, inviting in like somatic practices to heal from trauma, right? Then can
Yes.
signal to our minds that we're safe, right?
Yes.
That I don't have to struggle, that I can be
It.
joyful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it. You said it right there, that I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That is
Yes.
it right there. Yes, I am safe. Mhm.
Yes, yes. I wanted to ask you how you define spiritual awakening, maybe beyond the way mainstream culture often portrays it. If anything you want to share around that.
Yeah. So in the book, I define spiritual awakening not as the flashy experience that's so popular, but as a reconnection to our ancestors and the spiritual practices that they lived by. Okay.
Mm.
For me, that is the long and short of spiritual awakening. It's about remembering the belief systems, the rituals, and the ways of being that guided them, and how they honored the sacred in their daily life, how they trusted in the unseen forces, and how they lived in alignment with divine principles.
Mm-hmm.
Awakening, in this sense, is reclaiming that ancestral wisdom and integrating it into our modern lives. So it's about stepping into the power, purpose, and freedom that our ancestors originally cultivated. So that spirituality is not something abstract. It becomes a practical living force that guides how we act, relate, and create every day. Yeah, it's not abstract, it's not separate, it's just how we live every day, being conscious of how our ancestors survived, how they lived daily,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
they were completely connected. They believed that the divine was them and they were the divine, right? They were complete, they were um, connected, connected. So when we begin to realize that now, that's how our awakening becomes real. Mhm.
I love that. Yeah. Because sometimes like the messaging that we get is it's so long ago, right? When it's really not. But that's what we often hear, like it's so long ago, it's detached. How do I even start this? And it's just as you said, right? Incorporating this as a daily practice into your life, doing things like somatic practices, right? Honoring your ancestors, right? Even like asking them, like saying out loud. The voice is very powerful, right? And to know that you have the power to tap into at any time that they try to make us afraid of so
Yes,
often. They want us cut off from our lineages.
that's it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it. That's how they conquer us, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but we're beginning to remember, and we're beginning to reclaim, and it's beautiful.
It
Mhm.
is. It is. I do want to ask, a lot of us are told to look outward, externally, as you mentioned, for validation, for solutions, jobs, money, status. How does reclaiming our spiritual power shift this narrative that we are told so often, especially in Western culture?
Yeah. Yeah. We're taught to look outside of ourselves for satisfaction, for fulfillment. But
Mm-hmm.
when we connect to our spiritual self and the practices of our ancestors, we start to see things differently. Opportunities, creativity, and solutions arise not just from external hustle, but from alignment with our inner purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It changes how we make decisions, how we relate to others and ourselves, and how we claim our self worth. So, in essence, reclaiming our spiritual forces turns us from passive seekers into active co creators of our lives, grounded, empowered, and free, right? Yeah. Um,
Mm-hmm.
mhm, yeah. So now there's a lot of content on social media that's designed to get you riled up, to take you outside of yourself, outside of you.
Yes.
What I've been trying to focus on is
Mm-hmm.
bringing us back within, right? That's where the safety, that's where the joy, that's where the peace is. We're looking for it out there, but it's not out there. It's here. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I think when we are taught to constantly seek outside of ourselves, it puts other people in control of things that we already have inside of us. And so
Yeah,
now, like, I'm seeking my happiness when I could have went within. I'm seeking my validation when I could have went within. And it just gives people like so much power over these things when we can
exactly.
just turn within. Hmm.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. We give our power over to, and we have a tendency to do this. Whoever's voice is the loudest, that's who we run after. That's who we follow. Hmm. Hmm. Whoever
Ooh.
is most noisy, that's what we run after. And it's like we're always looking for someone to lead us. We're not comfortable leading ourselves. So
Mm.
if what he or she is saying over there that don't even really make sense, because they're speaking so loudly and because they're in your face, you gravitate towards that.
Mm. Hmm. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Mm.
Because part of healing for me has really been turning within and like recognizing my own leadership abilities, like self sovereignty, right? I can like guide myself and direct myself any direction I choose versus how I was socialized and conditioned to seek authority outside,
Mm-hmm.
ask permission. Like, can I do this? Like, do I need, like, that's exhausting, right? And that's
Exactly.
how they want us. Hmm.
Exactly. That's how the system is rigged against us.
Yes,
That's it. That's why this reclaiming our spirituality is so vital right now,
it
especially.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Hmm.
Um, I do want to ask you things that may block us, particularly as Black women, from activating the spiritual power that lives within us.
Oh, man. Whew. Mm-mm-mm. So many of us still, this is the conversation the world needs. Thank you, Prophet. So many of us still seek permission to breathe.
Ooh.
Whew. We've been taught to fear our own power, so we stifle us, thereby stifling spirit. We've come to fear our ancestral technologies that were meant to empower us. And we cling to dear life to colonial religion and promptly dismiss practices like Vodou, which is voodoo, they call it voodoo, and Obia and
Mhm.
Santeria and the American hoodoo. We don't want to hear nothing about that, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because we've learned through colonial propaganda that these things are vile, they're evil, right? But we haven't taken the time to really investigate if that is so. So, what we are reaching for, we can't really find it because we are not going to the source. We can't find it because we're not going to the source. We're just doing what they tell us to do. We're just following the crowd, the source, which is our original way of spirituality. Mhm.
Mm. Just typing that in the chat.
Yeah,
All these quotes. Yeah, I
yeah.
was telling Winsome backstage, like our past conversation. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out on my channel. But I'm still sitting with what Winsome shared. Like it changed my life.
Wow.
It did. Yes.
Yeah, they
Um,
be speaking. They be speaking. They be speaking. they,
mhm.
they be talking, man. Sometimes you would wish that they would stop talking. Oh, thank goodness. Yeah.
And I love
Mhm.
that we're like talking about this openly too, because there can be like shame around this too when it's a gift,
That's it.
right? Because we've been taught to fear. It's been like packaged as something to turn off, something to turn away from, to
Mhm,
ignore, to
mhm.
dismiss. It's like when you realize that you have been being guided this entire time, and there's a whole level of power for you to tap into that they
Yeah.
do not want you to access. That's why
They,
they label it be afraid, be scared. right?
ridicule
It's a
it,
whole system.
give
Mm-hmm.
us they came up with the voodoo doll. We did not have no doll with pins to stick people with. That's a colonial thing that they came up with to vilify our
Yeah,
religion. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
absolutely. Pivoting to like healing from these systems of oppression, I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you how these systems may disconnect us from our spiritual selves, and then what practices can we use to help us reconnect?
um, I think I opened a chapter in a book with something like this, that to conquer a people, you have to first sever their spirit. Our spiritual practices were taken from us, ridiculed, and even outlawed. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Without free access to our source of strength, we became easier to manipulate. But today, we have the opportunity to reclaim those spiritual powers. Yeah. And like you were saying, many of us are afraid to admit we even have powers, right? Asking ourselves, who am I to have this kind of power?
Mm-hmm.
Or worrying what others might think. I use myself as an example. One night, I am a dreamer. I'm dreaming all night. I keep waking up, hearing you're supposed to heal the people physically and spiritually. Now, I had already accepted the spiritual part, done the work, and accepted the spiritual part because I'm working as a spiritual healer. Okay, that's fine. But now you want me to be a physical healer? Who am I? You know, despite the fact that there have been reports and there
Mm-hmm.
are um, um, there's proof that I have been instrumental in healing people physically, and of course, I heal my own body.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking, you don't want to admit that you have these powers. You're asking, who are you? But we have powers because we have gifts and talents, right? That's power.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have our gifts and talents for. We have been empowered, right? And we are powerful because we've been power filled.
Mm-hmm.
That power has been downloaded into us. We've been filled with that power. So, yes, we are powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, so we can begin to seek guidance from spiritual practitioners, spiritual healers, maybe people like myself, or there's plenty of them around. You can research and see who you can find. We have some in our community here, right? There are books and films that could help. And one way, I don't mean to plug the clinic, but one way is to start through my visualization clinic,
Okay.
right? And I'm also creating village circles, spaces for community and collective healing, like the circles that our ancestors used. They did healing in circles back in the day, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I share in my book simple rituals and practices that we can use, and invocations and prayers that we can use, right? And get reconnected. I also have a video on my channel titled How to Get Your Woo Woo Back.
Mm. Oh, we can check that out.
And we be afraid of woo woo, and woo woo is nothing to be afraid of. Woo woo is just where your spirit guides live, where your
Mm-hmm.
ancestors live. That's all woo woo is. So
Mm-hmm.
to get your connection back is to reconnect with your ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And there are ways to do that. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
love that. Can you share more about the clinic coming up on September
Oh,
14th?
the
Mm-hmm.
clinic, the clinic. So I say the clinic is urgent care for stalled dreams and disconnected souls. We do some cleansing. We we do some mental rehearsing, some goal setting, but we also do a lot of rituals and ceremonies. One of the first ones we do is a um, creator, um, co-creator ceremony, where you actually become initiated as a co-creator of your life, right? So we do, like I said, we do a lot of um, ancestral work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spiritual
Mm-hmm.
work, rituals and stuff. And we be afraid of our rituals, and there's nothing to be afraid of. They work for our ancestors, they can work for us. So um, so the clinic is designed to draw you out, to bring you face to face with who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and then who you are supposed to be in this construct, right? And to connect you with your dreams so that they can begin to flow out of you, right? The clinic is pretty amazing. It's pretty intense. Nobody leaves there the same that they came. Nobody leaves the same that there's a
I believe it.
particular there
Mm-hmm.
is a particular place in the clinic that gets people every time. They're not expecting it, but that gets them every time. So you leave recharged, refreshed. Another thing
Mm-hmm.
about the clinic is that we don't chase, because we position ourselves to begin to attract the things that we desire. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't chase, we visualize, we align, we embody, and we birth out.
Mm.
Yeah. So I feel like as a midwife, the clinic is urgent care for stalled dreams and disconnected souls.
That's so powerful. And so the link to register is in the description section as well as in the chat if you're here live. You mentioned the village revolution, and this has my mind going like so many different places. What is this? If people may not know, you mentioned like the ancestral practice of like healing circles, which I facilitate, but yeah, anything that you want to share around village revolution?
Yeah, that's right. You have, have, you're already doing
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
You're already creating a village. That's something that I wrote about in the book. Let's recreate the village. But you already have a village here. You may not call it that, but it is that. And you do what we're even doing right now is circle work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and I forgot the question.
Just anything you want to share around Village Revolution if people are
Oh,
interested
oh
in
yeah, yeah,
registering or
yeah.
signing up. Hmm.
Oh, yeah. So, because we are delving into all this spirituality, I know that people are going to have questions and they're going to want a place to go, to practice or to learn. So, I'm developing these circles where we can come together and hold each other, and hold each other's dreams, and we can share information. We can learn. We can share our dreams, like our actual dreams that we dream at night, and, you know, begin to do these group rituals and stuff. That's what I want to do with the circle revelation. I didn't want to call it a revolution circle because because I don't know. It was just something that told me, turn it around to make it less intimidating, right? And then beyond that, though, I am also getting ready to develop a liberation circle.
Mm. Okay.
Liberation circle where we're not just going to be casually meeting and stuff. We're meeting with intention to tear down systems.
Mm, that's right up my alley. Yes. Mm-hmm.
We're meeting with intention to take
Mm-hmm.
a social or political issue, focus our spiritual energy on that, and we're going to dismantle that for
That's
our.
powerful.
That's the liberation circle. That one is coming. Hmm. Yeah.
Wonderful. And can I ask, like, the inspiration behind these things that you're creating? Is this
The book,
downloaded to you?
the book, absolutely, absolutely.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
All of it is coming from the book because I know that we're going to need support. We're going to, and one person can't do it. We
Yes.
all we all gotta we all gotta play a little part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So building our ancestors did not function alone.
Mm-hmm.
They functioned
True.
villages in community. They looked out for one another. Everybody was involved in what was going on. I have Africans who are um, relatives. My sister is married to one, and she complains every day because the family is constantly coming. They're always coming, and when one thing is going on, everybody shows up, and you don't get an invitation. You just show up, and there's
Wow.
this constant community. And for her, it's overwhelming but that's how they live,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how they get things done. And nobody is in need of anything because somebody is going to share,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? If I am here today in America and I don't have food, I may have a hard time finding somebody to ask to give me some food. In Jamaica, it's a given. They know you don't have food. They're going to show up with some dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean about the circle where we can come and hold one another and we can come and focus on an issue together. What if one of us in the circle is having an issue paying a bill this month? Why can't we
Mm-hmm.
put together and help that person pay that bill?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
That's so important. And I'll be speaking with Samira, a Black Women Build Wealth, later this year in
Yeah.
November, I think. But it was at her summit that she hosted that I learned about. I think it's called a susu, right? So
Hmm.
it's a way of like lending money within the community,
Hmm.
and all these different things that colonization has kind of like separated us
Yeah.
from, bringing them back because we
Bring
need them.
We need them, right? Our survival and our
Hmm.
liberation depends on it. We have a practice in Jamaica that we call a partner. And it's everybody put some money in a pot. You know, how many people, 10 people, whatever, put some money in a pot. And this month, you get the sum
Hmm.
of that money. The next
That's a good.
month, somebody else gets the sum of all that money. And it goes down the line. And it's a
Hmm.
way for us to like save a good sum of money
Yes.
and have a good sum of money to do something with just by putting a little bit at a time in a pot.
Hmm. Hmm.
Prophet Mother says we've replaced the circle with institutions
Yes.
and rules and regulations that limit us and stifle our creativity and our
Hmm.
spirituality. Hmm.
Yes.
Let's
Thank
bring
you
the
for that.
villages back. Bring the villages
Hmm.
back. Let's bring the circle back.
I love that. I love that. But in your book, you talk about unleashing the power of spiritual forces. How can we do that in a way that still protects us from spiritual burnout or overextending ourselves in this process?
Yeah, yeah. I imagine when people look at my book, they might think, "Oh, this is heavy." But when I talk about unleashing spiritual forces, I'm not suggesting anything difficult or hard or overwhelming for most people, right? There are
Mhm.
those who are called to deeper work and they know themselves, all right? Or they will know themselves, and then it won't feel insurmountable to them because they are being called for that, right? But true groundedness, sorry, self-acceptance and deep comfort with yourself and community intercession comes from internal work. Yes, it takes internal work, but it doesn't have to be a heavy lift. Okay.
Mhm.
Some can handle more than others. You do what's comfortable for you. I'm actually, as you speak about burnout, I'm actually working on a visualization and I'm calling it a spiritual detox, a visualization session for people who are feeling, some people are feeling healing fatigue,
Mhm.
spiritual burnout, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But lighting a candle, repeating a chant, or directing a corrective thought toward an unjust action that's designed to belittle us, I think that's something anyone can do easily. You can light a candle, you can light some incense, you can
Mhm.
repeat an affirmation, you can repeat a chant. It doesn't have to be heavy and it doesn't have to be a lot, especially in the beginning. Okay? Yeah, very
That's very
simple.
helpful. Yeah, thank you. And Mara says, "Do what's comfortable for you. Healing can feel overwhelming at times." Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
that's right. That's right. Just do a little, just a little.
Mhm.
You don't have
Mhm.
to see the big picture. Just take the next sacred step. That's it.
I love that. I love that. And as you mentioned earlier, like making it a practice that you ingrain into your daily routine, your daily life, little by little, right? So if you feel like, how do I even get to this point? It's just little steps, right? Each day that you're able to. And then over time, you'll see that bigger change that you're looking to
That's
realize.
exactly right. And when you begin to attend these circles and stuff, you begin to learn and you begin to exercise your, expand your capacity and everything. So, yeah, no need to be overwhelmed, a little at a time. Try lighting a white candle and saying some positive things about yourself and over your life. That's
Hmm.
a start.
Thank you. Yes. I want to ask for Black women who may be leaving toxic jobs or harmful spaces, how can something like a spiritual awakening serve as a compass for their next steps if they are unsure after that traumatic experience, maybe in the workplace or different area of their life?
Yeah. So this now is that's why I lean so heavily on accessing the original self. This is about accessing your original self, right?
Mhm.
Remembering what your soul truly needs and reconnecting with the life contract that you came here to fulfill. And I actually have a video on this titled You're Sitting Outside Yourself. And in sitting outside yourself, you are forgetting your soul contract, what you came here to do. You've forgotten what you came here to do. That video goes deeper into understanding how this guides your work decisions. So, we're going to be misused and abused and suffer harm when we are not in the place we're supposed to be, as agreed on our in our soul contract. Okay,
Wow.
it's just gonna it's not gonna fit, and there will be friction because it's like trying to fit a square in a round circle. It's uncomfortable because you're probably not supposed to be there, right? Now, when
Mm-hmm.
you awaken spiritually, you start seeking answers in ways that are aligned with your soul, engaging in spiritual practices like reflection and visualization rather than chasing what the world says you should want. Some of us
Mm-hmm.
are chasing careers that we were never created for. Some of us want other people's gifts, neglecting our own gifts, right? So, the the um the same saying I shared earlier that we use in the clinic about we don't chase, we visualize, we align, we embody, we create, and we rebirth. It's about aligning, remembering who you are, what you came here for do, remembering your soul contract. And that's how I approach my own career shift. So my background is actually in interior design.
Mm-hmm.
I practiced interior design for years, but I wanted to work outside of retail, you know, the
Right.
confines of the store or something. So I visualized an outside sales job, and I got that job. I actually got it in the medical field, which I had no experience for, but I did well at it. But it's something that I visualized and got. And then I wanted to work from home, so I visualized that. Went to an interview, wanted the job, did well at the interview, and they offered me a certain schedule. And I said, okay. But after the interview, it just didn't sit right with me. I'm like, that's not gonna. I don't want. I mean, I would still take the job if they offered it to me, but I was like, no, I want the job, but I want this other schedule because if I worked the one that they offered me, it would conflict with the structure that I had set up for my life. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to be working on Mondays at anybody else's job. And I wanted Sundays for my channel and my clinic. So I said, no, I
Mm-hmm.
want this other schedule. And I went and visualized it. And let me tell you, I could see and hear the woman offering me the schedule that I wanted. Lo and behold, when she called me to offer me the job, we went over everything. I was like, yes, yes, I accept, I accept. And finally she said, and I know that I told you this other schedule, but do you think you could
Uh,
have done this? I was like, yes,
yes.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying you can use visualization, right? And that's manifested that. That those are some of the things we do in the clinic, right? We teach you
Mm-hmm.
how to align your desires so that things begin to come to you, right? Now, Paula Herlock teaches a course about your celestial blueprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a guide to navigating ascension and your soul mission. So it has something to do with your stars and how you are created and the kind of work that you should be doing and what your galactic chart is. And yeah, all of this to help you figure out what work. So spiritual awakening, right, doesn't just help you leave what's harmful. It points you towards work and spaces that resonate with your highest self, your purpose, and your soul contract. And it's a guide that moves with intention, helps you move with intention rather than just reacting to circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Powerful. I want to ask you about the concept of a soul contract for those who may not be familiar, because we're often told, as I've been like sitting with, that we don't come here really with any like blueprint, right? That we're just here for the use of other people so often. And that's oppressive messaging. And so, for those who may not be familiar with that concept, what is a soul contract?
Yeah, so what I've been learning is that we all have an assignment. We came with an assignment, but we actually chose those assignments, right? So we made a contract, a soul contract, like an agreement that this is what we're going to come here and do.
Mm.
So when we come and then we don't fulfill that or follow that, we are off, out of alignment. Everything is in disarray. Everything is difficult, complicated. Nothing is working out right.
Yeah.
So, and you feel off too. You don't feel settled in yourself, in your body, in your mind, because you are not fulfilling that soul contract. And it goes right back to the original you.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Wow.
Mhm,
Wow.
mhm.
I do want to ask, let me get back to my notes. Daily practices or rituals that can help you stay aligned with this quest for liberation. Anything that you want to share?
So I have a lot, but don't think I do all of these every day. I do not. I move as spirit moves, right? But I practice some daily spiritual hygiene. I might cleanse my energy with to protect my spirit, I might do some smudging with sage. I feed my ancestors. I feed them
Mm.
milk. I feed them milk or honey or fruit. Yes, they like to be fed.
What
hmm
does that What does that look like? Feeding your
I
ancestors.
I just kind of if I'm gonna do a little ritual, I set up my my little altar. I put a white cloth and I have my candles and I have my my little bowl with some pennies and stuff and my candles, my crystals and whatnot. And then I just put out some food for them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I have
as
to
I'm
try
doing
that.
as I'm doing my a lot of that is described in the book. Yeah.
Okay.
And so also visioning is not new. Our ancestors use this a lot. It was one of the spiritual technologies that they depended on a lot. So I practice visualization daily and I journal when I visualize. And a simple question I ask myself every day is, who are you? Right?
Mhm.
So ask yourself that question every day. That question shifts your focus inward and it helps you connect with your original self and purpose. And sometimes the answer changes, right? And it's definitely going to change as you grow and as you expand. And if you were to ask me today, who are you, Winsome, I'd say today I am a guest on Marissa Price's channel, speaking on topics that matter to me and our community. I am a
Mhm.
spiritual healer, spiritual midwife, spiritual nurturer, and then add author and revolutionary to that. So I'm always growing, always learning, always ascending and expanding, right? And then I might spend some time doing absolutely nothing, which is one of my favorite things to do. So my mind rests. I do that as much as possible because I have a brain that seems to relish being on the neurodivergent spectrum.
Mhm.
My brain just, she loves to go off and do whatever she wants to do, right? So I let her sometimes. And I spend a lot of time in solitude and silence. And I'm also the queen of naps. I treasure rest, right? But silence, my friends, is powerful and cleansing and grounding.
Mm.
Silence. no sounds, no music. I love the sound of silence. And then sometimes I just sit in the dark because I also love the dark. When I don't need to see anything, I can just spend time in the dark. It's comforting to me. I know a lot of people are afraid of the dark. For me, it's comforting. Whether I'm sitting in silence or in meditation or listening to music, being in the dark is cool. And then I do meditations. You can meditate from anywhere from 5 minutes to hours if you want to. I know Prophet Mother has a channel with some beautiful meditations on there. So I do some of those sometimes. And then I try to stay in my body. I do movements. I started doing something like, and I better not do it too much here because I will go into a trance. It takes me into a trance when I do it.
Wow.
Oh my God, I'm already feeling it. There is something, I have not studied what it is, but there is something about this movement here.
Mm.
Woo. Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So then I stretch, and do breathing and all that. And then my eating has become ritualistic too, right? My eating.
Mhm.
So all because of a new song. My favorite song now, it's a song called AI for Ancient Intelligence. And it's an incredible ancestral song, right? And one profound line in the song goes like this. I'm gonna say it in Jamaican, and y'all tell me if you pick up any of the words. I'm gonna say this in Jamaican. What that you got in your mouth? What that you got in your mouth? Can you pick up any words, any English words?
What do you got in your mouth? Was that it?
That's amazing. You did it. You did. Wow. Wow. That's the line in the song that changed my life and changed the way I eat. The man said, "What have you got in your mouth?" Oh my God. So yeah, that's Jamaican patois. That's it instantly challenged the way I eat, right? And I've not had a bit of meat since, and my diet gets cleaner and cleaner every day. Look up that song on YouTube. It's called AI, Ancient Intelligence. So I stay
Wow.
aligned and I don't let capitalism commodify my intuition, and I don't let empire hijack my vision. And also I wear my ancestral symbols. I'm wearing
Mhm.
the ankh today. I have the ankh up there. I have it on
Mhm.
my arm, right,
Yeah.
to stay grounded. Um, what I want to do more is more community, in community more. So I'm working on that.
Mhm. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing. And yeah, I agree. Like there are certain movements that are just feel different, right? As you mentioned, like that kind of puts you in a trance. Like I'm just thinking back, like there are other movements I've done that kind of like recalls like ancestral memories coming back up, right?
So is that what it does, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it
Mm-hmm.
is, Marissa? Okay. Because when I first did it, I was just trying something. I was just like, oh, let me move my body today. I was visualizing and I said, let me just move my body. And was like, I was gone. I was like, what? So then I
Mm.
continued to practice it. It takes me away every time. Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that just speaks something that was downloaded to me recently. How colonizers have tried to cut us off from dance right throughout cultures. Dance is always this thing that's like, don't do this, right? Often closely associated with like in religious practices, like you're going right to hell if you practice dance. And to see how closely it ties to our ancestral traditions, like memories, it awakens now that makes sense to me, right? Why it's been so vilified. Dance is a
Hmm.
practice throughout cultures. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. that dancing opens you up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Dancing opens you up to spirit. They You'll see a lot of dancing in those um, ancestral community practices. They do a lot of stomping and drumming.
Mm-hmm.
And you can drum if you don't have access to an actual drum. You can drum anywhere, drum on your body, but that dancing and stuff and the stomping and whatnot, that ushers calls in spirit. It opens you up and calls in spirit, man. And another thing that they've taught us to be afraid of is spirit possession.
Mm-hmm.
Spirit possession. But here's the thing: if you are a Christian and you go to church, you see them in church, what they call getting in the spirit. That is spirit possession, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that they do in church and that I used to do in church and everything, you're in the spirit. It's the same it's the same concept. But they wanna call our thing evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing that's happening in church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned building communities. So I just want to ask, how can we build communities that honor both individual healing and our collective spiritual awakening?
And I say first, let's visualize it. Let's visualize it and let us bring back the village people. Let us not let us consciously come out of isolation, being by ourselves. Let us seek out villages and circles and communities to be a part of and be active participants of, right? I write about that in the book. Let's purposely create circles of healing and strategy, sharing strategy,
Yes.
like
Mm-hmm.
that channel here. Oh, I did
Mm-hmm.
write about, I mentioned your channel in the book. I did. I mentioned your channel in the book
Oh,
as
thank you.
a village, as a circle, healing circle. Yeah,
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you so much.
yeah, I did. So yeah, let's focus energy on like a particular issue, kind of like we do here, but let's also begin to direct spiritual energy to issues we face as a collective. Like, um, okay, you see how we are sending a lot of positive energy to Ibrahim Traore,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can also direct some of that energy to abusive systems here. I'm talking about circles that dealing with political and social issues. Like Paula Herla does this in her gathering. She's based in Jamaica, and she does even online gatherings. And I had her on my channel too, by the way, and she's someone that I learned from. But we can direct spiritual attention to tearing down things like police brutality or redlining or voter suppression, or now there's DEI, anti-DEI, and history erasure, etc. If we all visualize it and we all decide to, we can do our little part to dismantle these systems. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to believe it, or else you won't participate. And the thing is, one can't do everything. One person can't do it all.
No.
But if every one of us does something, everything
Mm-hmm.
will get done. All right. So the challenge today is that we get distracted or we avoid doing the work alone. But that's why community is so important. It holds us accountable and supports our practice and helps us actually follow through. Yeah. Together, we can reclaim the power of these ancestral practices in a way that strengthens and liberates all of us. We just have to want it. And sometimes we don't know that we want it. Somebody has to tell us that we want it. Hence my book.
Mm-hmm. Powerful. So yeah, I do want to ask, as you mentioned your book, how people can pre-order your book, and then anything else you want to share about this powerful thing that you've creation that you've released out into the world.
Okay. The book. All right. First of all, would everybody please subscribe to my channel? Thank you. And there should be a link in the description box, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can pre-order the book now, and when you do, you'll receive an invite to the outdooring ceremony. The outdooring is the launch, right? And it's officially an outdooring because that's a Ghanaian tradition for introducing new life into the world. You know, the village comes together and they gather in a ceremony and they introduce this new life. So, since the book honors African ancestral spirituality, I thought it fitting to have a similar ceremony. So, when you order the book, you also you get the invitation to the outdooring ceremony, but you also get a preview of the free ebook that goes. Thank you, thank you. um, a preview of the free ebook that will accompany the book later. But so the free ebook is the behind the scenes of how I wrote This Time the Revolution is Spiritual. And that one is titled Birthing a Revolutionary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are t-shirts. There are beautiful, beautiful t-shirts. One of the t-shirts says straight ancestral gangster, right? Because our ancestors are gangster right now. They ain't playing. All right. And one of them says big up yourself. And my t-shirts are on Redbubble or T Public. And here's another t-shirt I did.
Ooh,
It
colored
says,
melanin on the outside, carbonated on the inside.
yes, yes, girl. And closing remarks, okay? Closing remarks. I believe that this is an important book for the times we are in, right? And I do believe everyone who considers themselves Black or melanated ought to own a copy of this book. I think it should be in every household because it's our elective liberation we're talking about, our collective. And not only does it offer hope for our collective ultimate liberation, but it provides ways we can each play a part. And individually, we might feel like we can't do anything, but we can do something. Everyone can light a candle or burn some incense, right? A high priestess from our community asked me what inspired me to write the book on such a profound topic in these foreboding times. And my response was, revolutionaries are born out of troubling times. And there has never been a better time for a book like this. And truthfully, all of us ought to be a revolutionary right now. So when I talk about collective liberation for Black people, it's not just about individuals doing their own inner work. It's also about that inner work becoming a spiritual force that acts on the external world. So the vision is this. As we reclaim our personal liberation, we gather the internal spiritual power to collectively chant down and tear down the external systems that hold us, aka Babylon, as Bob Marley and the Rastafarians call it. Bob Marley literally has a song called Chant Down Babylon, and another one called Babylon, Your Throne Gone Down. In other words, Babylon, your throne has fallen. And they were singing and marching in Burkina Faso to that one, Babylon, your throne gone down.
Wow.
So when these systems fall, they don't just leave a void, they create space where our collective, unchained, and divinely guided existence can finally flourish. And that is the true state of our full liberation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, for coming on, sharing everything that you've shared. Anything else that you want to share with the audience before we wind down?
Thank you guys for being open minded. Thank you to those who have subscribed to the channel. Please don't be a stranger. Turn on the notification bell so you can know when I'm online or upload a video. And thank you for pre ordering the book. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the outdooring ceremony. And I look forward to hearing what you have to say, your feedback on the book.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Just want to read this comment from I Abode. As the elder in the room at 71, I agree that this battle must be waged on the spiritual, not religious and ancestral level. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, yes. She gets it. She gets it.
Yes. Yes. Always
Mhm.
appreciate you, I Vote. Yes. Yes. So thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Alicia.
Yes, for yes, sharing everything that you shared. And if you didn't watch the whole interview, this is one you want to rewatch. So make sure that you go back to the beginning to get all the gems that Winsome gave us this evening. Yes, Tori says thank you for sharing the ancestors' message. Powerful,
Yes, yes.
powerful. But yes, y'all are so welcome. Thank you for being here. If you're watching live or on the replay, please subscribe to my channel, Winsome's channel, which is linked in the description section. And yes, please pre order. This time, The Revolution is Spiritual, which I just did after reading the excerpts. Powerful, powerful book. And I'm excited to read the whole thing. So thank you so much. And yeah, until next time, y'all. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
guys. Thanks,
y'all.
Marissa.
Bye.